He has been the most, certainly one of America's premier and preeminent experts, not only on coins, but it's a great education process. I know you always learn something. You still get a 30-day return policy on everything. So what do you got for us now, Mike?
This is a pretty cool deal.
Yeah.
That's what I got, pretty cool deal. So the United States government this year decides to do something really cool, kind of on their own. They decide to, for the regular issue annual sets of the year, which is proof set, silver proof set, and mint set. Those are the annual sets that they do every year. They've been doing proof sets since 1936, the special silver proof set since 1992, mint sets since the same thing, 1938, I think, was the first mint set. So what they did is they decided to make a very special Lincoln cent for each one of those sets, and the only way to get it is to buy that set. It was an extra coin. In other words, it came, you know, outside the set as a bonus, if you will, is really what it came down. So when the proof set came out, they had a proof coin that came with it. And that PR70, I think we sold completely through those at $249.95 in January. I've never offered the single coin since then. First day of issue, completely and totally sold out. Then with the silver proof set, they did the reverse proof coin. It graded a little bit better. I think we sold it at $199 or $179, something like that. Sold through the 700 or 800, 900 of those that we were able to get. But this is the SP70. So this is the mint state coin. This came with the mint set. And what a mint set is, it's all the uncirculated coins that the United States government makes in a year. These are all the Denver minted coins. These are all the Philadelphia minted coins. Comes in a little box like this. And then you open it up, and this is inside. And
that's where it comes from the government.
Yeah, that's the way it comes from the government. Now, there was an extra penny that came with it, this West Point mint, because they'd never done a West Point minted Lincoln cent before. Only this year, only as this special thing. There's the W. That's right there. That is unique. It's never happened on a penny before. So, and for the mint set, I'm going to give you the mint set. I'm going to give it to you in the original government box, just like that. Very cool. Every one of the mint state coins, and it's also done in a special satin finish that are unique to the mint sets. The United States government, by the way, is currently sold out of the mint sets.
Are they really?
They've been so incredibly popular because of this coin. Now, here's the thing. Since they did a mint state coin, even though it has an SP finish on it, what we call a satin finish on it, mint state coins just don't grade that well.
True.
Okay? So mint state 70, SP70, which is normally a grade that we sell a lot of, in this coin was exceptionally, exceedingly, incredibly rare. If you add up all of the grading services, I believe there's less than 1,000 mint state 70 pennies in existence.
No kidding.
And if you go out there, and there's about an equal number, so NGC has about the same number that we have, 485 here. PCGS has a bit less than that, so there might be 11 or 1,200 out of literally hundreds and hundreds of thousands. We graded tens of thousands of these sets because it was so incredibly popular in SP69. We sold all these thousands and thousands and thousands of sets in SP69. And after all these thousands and thousands of coins that we got, we had 485 of these individual coins that we can do in 70.
Wow.
Now, here's the amazing part of that. So we grade all these coins. This is kind of what I have, 485 coins. In the West Point Mint, this is the special coin that you're gonna have that only comes as the special bonus to the mint set. And I'm doing $349.95. Now, here's the fact of the matter is, and you know, I say this, and people say this, and you know, they're going, I could have absolutely, positively, 100% charged $599 and sold every single one. I could have charged $699, I could have charged $799. As a matter of fact, the average price for the NGC cents in 70 is somewhere in the neighborhood of about $2,500.
Oh, no kidding.
In the PCGS, it's more like about $3,000.
Wow.
Okay, that they were able to get in SP70. And there's about equal numbers of the NGC. There's fewer of the PCGS. But like I said, NGC average price well in excess of $2,000. There is nothing out there anywhere on the planet in an SP70 from Annex, and of course Annex first day of issue is exclusive to us anyway. NGC first day of issue, I think the lowest price any of them is sold for, I think is about $2,000 and up to about $5,000. We're $349. So when I say I could have easily charged $599 or $699 or $899 or even $999 for this coin and sold all 485 of them, it's not just hyperbole. It's actual, I mean it's 100% verifiable fact that I could easily do that. But that's not what we do here.
I know, because that begs the question, So why didn't you?
Well, because that's why I've been here 20 years.
Exactly.
Okay? Because what happens is by the time we looked at it and took in all the grading fees into account, the fact that we grade tens of thousands of sets, we sold so many of the 69s that this was the reasonable price for us to charge for this coin. Well, the market, I think, is significantly higher than $349. That's the price that we can reasonably charge for that, and so that's what we did. And so that's why I'm here. Okay, that's why I've been here almost 2 decades now, because I give you the best possible coins at the best possible price that you're proud to pass down from generation to generation to generation. And this is the embodiment of that kind of philosophy of coin selling and numismatics that we have right there. You can look high, you can look low, you can look anywhere you want. You can look for Annex, you can look for NGC, you can look for PCGS. You absolutely positively cannot find this for $349 or $449 or $549. It's just not, and I looked, I couldn't find them. They're just not in existence. The NGCs, I don't know that there's a single one you can find listed for less than $2,000 for first day of issue NGC. And they have about the same population. In other words, there's about that quantity of those. And I think Annex actually graded more coins because I graded, like I said, we graded, I don't know, about 12,000 coins, let alone whatever other people have graded as well. And so very, very difficult to get because the mint state 70 penny, the SP70 in a mint state coin is extraordinarily difficult. As a matter of fact, when we first started grading these, we didn't anticipate that any of the coins would be 70.
Oh, no
because
kidding.
The first batch of them were particularly bad. So the first 1,000 coins that we graded had 0 70s in them.
Oh, wow.
As a matter of fact, the SP69s were only grading at about 15 or 18%. So we sold a lot of mint state 68s and 67. You'll see 66s, 65, 64s on this coin out there all day long. And one of the reasons is when the United States government sold you this coin, they gave you this, and the coin that they have came in a little plastic baggie, and they just put it in the box.
That was it?
So when you open up the box, you have this, and your penny falls on the floor. Okay, that possible mint state 70 is now mint state 66, 65, 64 because it's been dropped in essence.
Oh, wow.
So to be able to get this coin in 70 from any of the major grading companies is a feat unto itself. As a matter of fact, other than if you're watching us and taking advantage of it right now, it's an impossible feat at $349.95, at $349.95. So I think that's important for you to understand. The other important thing is I debuted this today. So I debuted this morning at 1 a.m. I suspect we are probably 25% or so sold through the entire batch. I have 485, and that's forever. I can't bring this back.
No. I mean, you've actually sold a good portion. You've got
really? I sold more than I thought?
Yeah, you've got far fewer
Okay, I've only got 330 left, so that means I've already sold 150.
I know.
We've already sold 150 of these. Now, like I said, people are and this is the interesting part. So people are just starting to get their head around this and go, okay, so let me understand this. So this is a coin if I go out there, and ours is SP70. In NGC or PCGS, it's going to be mint state.
Gotcha.
Annex determined that this was a special satin finish coin.
Okay.
NGC, they don't make that distinction.
Okay.
But keep in mind, this is the mint state coin. Do not confuse this with the proof coin, of which this would be really too much money at $349.95. Don't confuse it with the reverse proof coin, which is $349 is way too much money for that coin. That's about $199 coin. The proof coin, about a $249 coin. This is the mint state coin. And at $349.95, this is, like I said, this is paradigm shifting in terms of price. So, in other words, I have, as I'm airing this, literally, we reset the market 60% lower. Okay, we've reset the market because now everybody else is going to go, well, I was getting 2,000, I was getting 2,200, I was getting 2,400. And they say, well, I can get it from HSN for $349. They go, oh, goodness. That's not good for us. It's good for you. Okay,
Right,
it's good for
true.
you. And so what it is like I said, because we graded so many coins, and we were able to sell all the Mint State 69 coins that were out there. Of course, you still get the Red Oak presentation box to give you the opportunity to get the perfect coin as a one-time 485 person only opportunity. That's what you need to take advantage of, and that I think is the critical part. Now, here's the other issue with this. I absolutely, positively, 100% guarantee I have dealer shopping on this right
You
now.
took the words out of my mouth, because you know that's what's happening.
Because this is wholesale, wholesale, wholesale,
right,
wholesale.
right.
I mean, I could have probably sold all 485 of these coins without ever airing it.
Oh,
In other words,
you could
making
have.
2 or 3 or 4 or 5 phone calls
Right.
to other people in the industry and
Sure.
say, hey, I got some SP70s, I got Mint State 70 WMint. And now understand, even the regular, either one of these coins, just the regular Mint State coins in 70 are going to break 350 or 450 or 850 or 950
Right.
because grade is everything. As a matter of fact, I just saw a thing, a 1938 S dime.
Okay.
Which is it's a relatively innocuous mercury dime.
Okay.
But it was in great condition, full bands, just sold for $385,000.
Oh, no kidding.
Based on grade.
On the grade.
On the grade. I could sell you a nice uncirculated version of that coin for about 25 bucks.
Like location,
But,
location,
that's right.
condition,
But in its
condition,
highest
condition.
available grade, which that was, it
Right.
went from 30 bucks to $385,000.
man.
So the government will make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of these pennies. Far less than 1% of them will ever be designated absolutely, positively perfect 70.
Wow.
Additionally, and I think I've probably not explained that as well as I should have. It's West Point minted. This is a one-time only, one-year only opportunity. The government has never done a West Point minted Lincoln cent before. There's that WMint right there. That was only a one-year only addition to the Mint set. It's not going to be like that next year. It wasn't in the year in the past. They've made the Lincoln cent for 110 years, folks. For 110 years, they've made the Lincoln cent, and they've never put a West Point mint mark on a Lincoln cent until 2019. So that coin is unique from that standpoint. Now you take the uniqueness of the grade of that coin, that it's absolutely positively perfect, and then have that at a price that is so significantly less than what anything else is in the marketplace. People are kind of scratching their head and they go, why did you do that? And once again, I go back to that thing. It's why I've been here for almost 20 years. The reason is I give you the best possible coins at the best possible price. And it's our ability to spend literally millions and millions and millions of dollars on inventory. Our fact that we grade literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of coins every year that give us the opportunity to bring in coins at prices that literally nobody else can do, that we're doing that. You know, many times we have special packaging, we have that. This is purely grade and price. It's not always the case.
Right.
But in this coin, it 100% is. By the way, I will give you the Mint set. It's about a $30 value.
Why not?
You're going to get that, and it's going to get sealed just like that. So
nice.
A nice little addition.
But remember, again, I know Mike already pointed this out, but very, very limited quantity. And the reality is this, especially with a coin like this, that we do not limit quantities. I know it sounds kind of funny to say that, but Mike sold a good portion of these, not only in the time that he was on the air at 1 a.m., but in the hours after the fact. That's something that I always mention with Mike is even when you see those quantity left counters of 200 or 300, don't let that fool you into thinking, oh, I've got time to spare, because what happens is we have, I would say proportionately, maybe even more people who shop after the fact than we even do during the shows. Because I think what happens is they tape Mike, they watch Mike, they listen, they dissect and digest the information, and then they have a tendency to call back or log on and use our app later. And then what happens is you might think, oh, I've got time to spare, but then by the time Mike comes back, then there will be zero inventory.
Oftentimes we do 30, 40, even 50% of our volume after the show.
The fact.
after the fact,
Yes,
after the show.
after the show.
You know,
True.
is what's going on, and that oftentimes happens with our coin collector. And sometimes you just get shut out, and you just get left behind because of that.
Yeah.
And people, you know, because not everybody, you know, not everybody's available all the time.
Of course.
You know, they put it in, they record it, you know, they look at it later, and you know, sometimes we just don't have the availability of those coins. And so, like I said, as we march towards half sold through on this, half sold through, and that doesn't, I'm not even counting all the people on the phone or anything else, and all the people on hsn.com, but understand what you have. You have a unique thing. And I know people are looking at this, okay, well, I want to do what you said. I want to look at that. Don't look too long. You can look quickly, and you can find that there's just absolutely Annex, NGC, PCGS, first day of issue. You cannot touch this coin for less than $349.95. It's just absolutely positively impossible. First day of issue, always a nice additional designator of value, in the coin world. Incredibly, incredibly important for you to understand that. So look at any first day of issue that you want to, anywhere you want to, and like I said, you simply can't touch the price because it's an absolutely positively perfect grade in a coin that is a unique 1 year only opportunity.
Wow.
So the government's not doing West Point minted pennies next year. They haven't done them in the prior 109 years. They don't have any plans on doing them next year or the year after. So it's a 1 year only issue in terms of West Point Mint. And then you have the mint state coin. They did the proof coin, the reverse proof coin, and the mint state. This is the key date in 70 condition is going to be the mint state coin. Absolutely, positively, no doubt about it. This is your one opportunity to be able to get first day of issue of this. I think basically, I don't think you can find first day of issue for less than really $2,000 anywhere else. I mean, like I said, you go out there and find and okay, maybe you can find it for $1,500, but you're not going to find it for anything within really $1,000.
Absolutely not. Didn't you say kind of the pennies are kind of like the America's sweetheart in terms of collectability?
Sure, because they've been around for so long.
Right.
Well, I mean, you know, anybody, you know, I grew up, you know, I was a Boy Scout, like, you know, most guys my age, and I mean, you know, one of the things to get one of your merit badges is coin collecting. You get a penny board.
You get a penny
board. And you collect all the pennies, and you put them in the board. And when you do, you get your merit badge. I mean, that's just the way it works. Yeah. And so there's so many people that started with penny boards. With pennies. And so that has carried on. It is the longest lived coin ever done by the United States government. They started making this coin in 1909.
Oh, wow. Oh,
so it has been continuously made since 1909. So, I mean, you know, this is not something that's kind of a flash in the pan, if you will. Okay, this has got a little bit of longevity to it. And in those 110 years that they've been making the Lincoln cent, this is the only one this year. It is the only year that the West Point or WMint mark has ever been on any Lincoln cent. It is unique in that respect as well. Now take the conditional rarity of that, the fact that this coin is certified absolutely positively perfect, which is a minuscule part of the population of this coin. This coin's not sold anywhere else, if you will. It only comes as a bonus to the United States government issue mint set.
So again, that's the only way to get it.
Anyway.
Only way to get it.
So you get this. The government, by the way, is currently sold out of this, so you can't even get any more. It's been so incredibly popular, and even with all the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of them being sold, tens of thousands of them being sold, there is still literally just a few hundred of these in absolutely perfect SP7. That's normally the grade we like to sell things in. It just simply doesn't exist in any quantity whatsoever for this particular coin.
It's like the Wonka bar. You know, Willie could could sell lots of Wonka bars, but there were only a few golden tickets.
That's right, and that's what this is.
And that's what this is.
For the Lincoln cent, for the West Point Mint, Mint State Lincoln cent, this is the golden ticket or the copper ticket.
The copper ticket.
Although there is no actual copper in there. It's manganese and brass.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes, it's a manganese brass mix. They stopped putting copper in Lincoln cents in 1982.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, because there's like 5 cents worth of copper in a penny.
Well,
that doesn't work out real well, you know. Yeah, they're not going to make that up in volume.
Exactly.
So they stopped doing. So they do those in manganese brass.
Oh, no kidding.
Is what they're doing. Yeah.
All right. Well, of course, it is guaranteed. You're getting that SP70. You're getting the West Point mark. You're getting it in very limited availability, and you're getting it. Well, at least we can say for this show, we can't promise what's going to happen after the fact. So
I believe it's a one and done.
Yep, probably. So yours is here, 677-705. Hey, also coming up, Mike, what did you do for